Right, so I think we can start. First and foremost, thank you all so much for registering for this webinar on the importance of cybersecurity and how to be safe in a wireless world. It's really lovely to be here with you all, and we really hope that this webinar will foster some great discussion, and hopefully you've got some questions for us at the end as well. So yeah, in today's webinar, we will be discussing quite a few things, primarily why cybersecurity is important to everyone. We will be focusing on threats of wireless networks. Dr. Ahmed will also be speaking about different examples of wireless attacks and defenses. And yes, as I've mentioned before, we will also be having a bit of a Q&A session towards the end, which will allow you to ask our speaker various questions. So please do note down your questions and wait till the end of the presentation to ask them. So I'd like to introduce our speaker and panelists for today, Mr. Ahmad Essayed. He's an adjunct lecturer of computer science and cybersecurity at Murdoch University, Dubai. And he's actually been working in the field for the past 15 years. So he's also doing a lot of great things outside of the university. So he manages his own consultancy, an office based here in Dubai, and his team, along with himself, do provide cybersecurity training and advice to lots of corporates across the region. So very, very proud of Ahmed and all the things he does and contributes to the Murdoch Society. Do keep in mind that he also does hold several degrees and certificates in engineering, law, and business. So he's a very knowledgeable individual, and we are very proud of his achievements. So over to you, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sam, for the great introduction. Thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. And thanks for the Murdoch University and the Murdoch University team for making it available. Mondays at Murdoch is a great opportunity for everyone to come along and have a great discussion about several different topics. I've seen other Mondays at Murdoch sessions, and they were awesome. Some of them were completely outside my field, information technology and cybersecurity, and still I enjoyed them all. So I hope that you will enjoy this one as well. Today we will be talking about cybersecurity. The internet is everywhere. Everyone is now literally living on the internet, especially after the pandemic as well. Now, if people used to spend maybe half of their time on the internet, now they're spending all of their time on the internet. So today we will be speaking about this world, the cyber world, and how the security in this particular virtual, if I may say, virtual world is indeed as important as the security that we already know in our physical real life, if not even more important than the security in real life. Today we will be focusing mainly on wireless attacks, and I have chosen this particular topic because again, people, they spend most of their times on the internet, most probably through wireless networks. So this is why I wanted to speak to you today on the threats of these networks and how to protect yourselves from these threats. So let's go quickly over the webinar agenda for today. Today, as I said, we will be talking about how important cybersecurity is. I will be going over a few articles and examples of what's happening around the world right now in the cybersecurity. I will give you an idea about how dangerous this is and why people shouldn't underestimate the importance of cybersecurity. Then we will focus on the wireless attacks. What can happen if you are connected to a Wi-Fi network, for example. Most of the time people are connected to wireless networks, so we will talk about what can happen, what can go wrong when you are connected to a wireless network. I will be also going really quickly over other types of wireless networks like Bluetooth, for example, and NFC. Although these are not very common, but still, attacks can happen over these networks as well. So we will go over these also really quickly. And if you don't believe me, we will have a nice time doing a hacking in action demo. So I will show you what hackers can actually do. And in this demo in particular, we will take a look at how hackers can steal your username and password for Facebook account, for example. So we will see in this demo an example of a victim who's sitting on his computer and he's connected to a wireless network. And we will see how a hacker next to him connected to the same wireless network can steal his username and password for Facebook. After this, we'll be talking more about how to protect yourself. So if you understand these threats, the next logical question is, okay, how can I protect myself from these threats? And I'm going to go over some advice for you on how to stay safe when you are connected to wireless networks. And then we will have hopefully some time for questions and answers. So feel free to write down your questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end of the session. So let's start with this. So anyone here who knows what is the Ashley Madison incident? Like top of your mind without Googling it? Feel free to put it in the chat box, or I'm not sure if you can unmute actually. Anyway, put it in the chat box. Do you know what is the Ashley Madison incident? Anyone? Happened in 2015. Okay, so maybe it was not very famous. Still, I want to talk a little bit about Ashley Madison event or the Ashley Madison attack. Ashley Madison was a website that it was a dating website. I don't want to go into more details about how their business model, but it was a dating website. And hackers managed to steal all the information of the website users, and they threatened to leak these information if the Ashley Madison company didn't take the website down. And when they didn't, the hackers started leaking information about this about the users of this website on the internet, and this resulted in unfortunate multiple suicide incidents by the users. So instead of me talking about how bad is it financially, maybe, and I will talk about how bad is it financially, I'd like to start talking about how bad is it in terms of your personal safety. So in the cybersecurity world, it's not uncommon to see people committing suicide because they got hacked. Okay, I'm not going to talk about, again, this is going to be my next slide. I will talk about attacks that happen directly on you, maybe, or someone you love, and results in personal injury or even loss of life. But I wanted to start with this one, when people, they actually kill themselves because they got hacked. This is how bad the situation is in the cyber world. And this is how important cybersecurity is. So people who underestimate cybersecurity and how important cybersecurity is, and how important the awareness, how important the security measures, they should read about these incidents, unfortunate incidents, to understand the magnitude of what's happening. In an article that I want to show to you here, on the website Vice by, it's a very nice article by the editor Nicole Kubi. She discusses the emotional burden of being hacked, how people feel if individuals, I'm talking about individuals, how people feel when they get hacked, and the anxiety, stress, depression that follows these kind of incidents when people get hacked, when hackers, they steal money from you through an attack, when they leak some personal photos, when they leak some personal messages about you and your family. This is not easy, or it's not as easy as many people think. This is really bad, and as I said in the as we saw in the previous slide, it may actually lead to suicide, and nothing bad, nothing worse than this. And if not, it has some very bad emotional consequences. Also, if we talk about attacks, not maybe on individual people, but on group of people at a country, for example, here in this article, the editors are discussing how hackers could actually kill more people than a nuclear weapon. And one of the main reasons actually hackers can do this is that they can, as you can see here, they can hit many targets at once. So the nuclear weapon, you drop it, and then there is a limit after all, geographical limit to the effect of the nuclear weapon. But this does not apply to cyber attacks. Hackers can attack multiple places at once, and they can cause lots and lots of damages. And if you are wondering, okay, how can hackers actually kill people? They hack computers, right? How can they kill people? Feel free, please, to go to this, read this. It's about like 20 pages report created by Scott Newton of SANS Institute. And in this report, he's basically giving examples about how cyber attacks can indeed kill people or injure people. And he has given examples on how they can control, for example, trains and train systems, and they can crash trains. And they actually did that before. They crashed trains, and there were multiple casualties and injuries. We're talking about more than 200 in one particular incident. In this report as well, Scott is talking about how they can control dams, and he has given an example about that in California, and how hackers were able to control dams in California, United States. And if they were to do something stupid, it would have flooded cities, complete cities. And the best case scenarios here would have been lots of people losing their homes, and they will have to move away to different places. In this report as well, Scott is talking about air traffic control and how hackers can actually control air traffic control, the system that actually controls how aircrafts move in the air. And feel free to imagine if that actually happens, how bad it can be. So these are just some few examples on how dangerous a cyber attack can be, and how important we should think of cybersecurity. Okay, now coming to the financial, which is maybe the least important outcome or consequence of cyber attacks, the financial attacks, or attacks that have only financial consequences. We are talking about literally trillions of dollars every year in costs related to cyber attacks. Even in this article by Harvard Business Review, it says that they are expecting that a cyber attack could actually cause the next financial crisis. And we're talking about something similar to 2008. We're talking something similar to 2016. We're talking about something similar to what's currently happening. The current economic crisis that the world is moving through because of the pandemic. These people, Paul and Till, they wrote in this beautiful article how cyber attack, maybe a single cyber attack or a group of related cyber attacks, can cause a financial crisis. And if you take a look at the numbers, it's not far-fetched. We're talking about in 2018, more than $1 trillion, the cost of cybersecurity. The majority of it is because of damages related to cyber attacks. We are talking about 1%, and this is really big. 1% of the global GDP. Okay, 1%. So as I said, if you are one of those who underestimate the importance of cybersecurity, I think you should think again about it. And you need to go through as many trainings and sessions as possible related to cybersecurity, learning about how these threats can affect you and how you can protect yourself against them. Today we will be talking mainly about wireless attacks, but I'm sure that we will have other sessions following up. Mondays at Murdoch, we run every Monday, as you know, and we have allocated some of these sessions for the cyber security topic. And maybe next sessions, we will talk about other types of attacks that are equally important to wireless attacks, like phishing attacks, social engineering, and these kind of things. So for today, I will focus on wireless attacks. So what are wireless attacks? Wireless attacks are mainly going to be happening if you are connected to Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is the most common wireless connection that people use all over the world. And I can bet that most of you, if not all of you, are now connected to a wireless network of some sort. People are connected to the wireless networks almost all the time. Okay, what can go wrong if I am connected to a Wi-Fi network? Okay, now it depends on how are you connected to the Wi-Fi network. The majority of attacks happen when you are connected to a public Wi-Fi. And when I say a public Wi-Fi, I mean it's not private. It's not home. It's not your private Wi-Fi at work. Public Wi-Fi, like for example, cafe, when you are sitting in a cafe or a restaurant, when you are in the mall, when you are in an airport, these kind of publicly available internet connections, these are what we call public Wi-Fi. Okay, so if you open your phone somewhere, like for example in a cafe, and you see this cafe Wi-Fi, and then the Wi-Fi signal, and then you connect, you are now on a public Wi-Fi. What can go wrong here? Okay, look, public Wi-Fi are generally not secure. Companies or whatever, cafes or airports or malls who provide public Wi-Fi, they do not take the necessary measures to secure these connections as they would do with the private in-company connections. And the reason for that, it should be publicly available. So we shouldn't put lots of restrictions on this network, so people can connect to the internet, have fun, chat, or do whatever they want in public places. So it's inherently not secure. I'm not saying they are careless. I'm saying actually some of them are careless, but I'm not saying this is the default. The default is that they actually know what they're doing, but because it should be publicly available, then security measures should be relaxed. And in this particular case, you do not also control who is going to be with you on that particular network. If you are in a cafe, so you're sitting and you open your laptop and maybe you're catching up with some emails or something, you don't know who else is connected with you on this particular network, right? And one of these people may be very well a hacker who is trying to gain access to your computer or to your information, as we're going to see in the demo. Hackers in this particular case can do lots of bad things. They can steal usernames and passwords, they can steal sensitive information from your computer, or even worse, they can control your computer completely. And then maybe they can blackmail you or something of that sort. So public Wi-Fi is one example of what you shouldn't use. And I will say that again, you shouldn't use public Wi-Fi unless it's absolutely necessary. So what's the alternative? Use your own phone data. I know it may be more expensive, but it's the safer option. If you are in a mall, don't use the mall Wi-Fi. If you are in a cafe, don't use the cafe Wi-Fi. You are in an airport, actually airports are one of the worst places to use public Wi-Fi because the number of people is larger. We're talking about, instead of a cafe that you have maybe 20 people connected to the Wi-Fi, in an airport you're talking about thousands of people connected to the same network. And one of the fun facts about airports is that if there is a hacker, the hacker has lots of free time waiting for his flight to practice and target someone, even for fun. So airports is one of the places that you actually shouldn't connect to the public Wi-Fi, although I know that airports is one of the places, an airport is one of the places where you actually need to connect to public Wi-Fi, most probably because you're outside your home country and you don't have access to data or 4G connection. But still, try to avoid connecting to public Wi-Fis. Okay, what else? Actually, another example of public Wi-Fi, but it's a more, I would say, dangerous example, is something that we call a rogue access point. And a rogue access point is, it's a public Wi-Fi that is created by the hacker. So sometimes, as we can see here, you are in a mall, for example, and you open your phone and then you see the mall free Wi-Fi connection. And you are going to think that this is the connection created by the mall. But you know what? It's not. This particular mall, for example, does not have any free Wi-Fi service. So what is this? This is a connection that is created by the hacker himself in order to lure people into connecting to his network so he can do his magic and attack their computers. So this is what we call a rogue access point. This is does not fall under public Wi-Fi because, you know what? There's no public Wi-Fi in this place. In this particular mall, for example, there's no public Wi-Fi. So this connection is what we call a rogue access point or rogue AP. And in this particular example, a mall free Wi-Fi belongs to the hacker, not to the mall. And if some people, they ask the question, you know what, how he can call it mall free Wi-Fi? There's no restriction on what people can call their networks, right? At home, at your own place, you call your Wi-Fi whatever you like. Okay, you can call it after your daughter, like I do. You can call it after yourself. You can call it something. You can call it anything. So the hacker can indeed create a Wi-Fi service himself that is connected to the internet, by the way, and it has to be. And he can call it mall free Wi-Fi, and then people can think that this is the mall free Wi-Fi, and then they connect to it, and then they get access to the internet through the hacker. But then the hacker can extract, or we call sniff, all their traffic, and he can extract usernames and passwords. He can do lots of bad stuff. We will see this in the demo. Another example under the Wi-Fi as well is something that's called the evil twin. And the evil twin is something in between. So we have discussed the public Wi-Fi, where you go to the mall and or you go to an airport or a cafe or something, and then you have the Wi-Fi provided by the mall, okay, which is authentic but still not safe. And then in the second point, we talked about the rogue AP, which is a place that does not have any Wi-Fi at all, but the Wi-Fi available through the hacker, and he will make you think that this is the Wi-Fi for the place. The evil twin is something in between, or actually it's a combination of these two, where we have two Wi-Fi services or two Wi-Fi networks, and both of them have identical names or very similar names. So for example, you can go to an airport, and then you are going to find one signal or one network that's called airport free Wi-Fi, which is the actual one, the real one. And then there is another one created by the hacker, and it has exactly the same name or a very similar name. So here, for example, airport free Wi-Fi 1, here, airport free Wi-Fi 2, okay? So one of them is real, still not safe, but at least it's real. And the other one is completely created by the hacker himself. And now the hacker basically has a 50-50% 50-50 chance that victims are going to connect to his network, not the actual real network. So this is, in this particular scenario, we're talking about something that's called the evil twin. As you can see, we get the name speaks for itself. So we have a twin that is evil, and the other twin that is good, not very good, as we said about the public Wi-Fi, but this is what we call an evil twin. So all these three examples, we're talking about a public Wi-Fi or a rogue access point or an evil twin in public places. And all of them are dangerous. And the one in the middle, the rogue AP, is the one that is very dangerous, particularly dangerous. The last one, which is the evil twin, is also dangerous, very dangerous. So we're talking about these three examples in public places. However, please remember that even in the private Wi-Fi, even the one that you have at home, for example, it can be dangerous as well if hackers can crack it. And this is what we call a private Wi-Fi cracking. If you have a password on your private Wi-Fi at home, hackers can crack this password and they can join you in the network, and they can still do almost everything that can be done in the public Wi-Fi or rogue AP or the evil twin. When we finish talking about these attacks and we finish the demo, I will tell you what to do to protect yourself in these particular scenarios. Okay, so this was the discussion about the public Wi-Fi. As I said, we have other types of wireless attacks, not necessarily through Wi-Fi. They may happen through Bluetooth, for example, and there was an incident that happened, I believe, in the United States when a guy was able to hack lots of phones in a parking lot, because as soon as people get into their cars, the Bluetooth in their phones automatically connects the Bluetooth in the car, and during this connection he can attack their phones, and he can actually attack the cars as well, the software in the car. In this parking lot, this hacker was able to attack lots of phones and do lots of damages. NFC is another example of wireless attacks, although it's even more limited than Bluetooth. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. This is, I'm sure that you've at some point used your credit card wirelessly, or you used your phone to do, for example, wireless charging, or move pictures from one phone to another phone by putting the phones together like this. So this is called NFC, and we do have NFC attacks. Again, they are very limited, like Bluetooth. Mainly because of the range. The range for the Bluetooth, we're talking about few meters, and the range for NFC, we're talking about few centimeters. So in order for the hackers to successfully do any kind of attacks on Bluetooth or NFC, they would need to be very close to you. And people don't use Bluetooth and NFC as frequently as Wi-Fi. So I'm not going to go through lots of details about Bluetooth attacks and NFC attacks. I'm going to just give you some advice about how to protect yourself against these attacks after the demo. But as I said, they're not common mainly because of they are less commonly used and the range is very limited. Okay, so now I'm sure that you would like to see how this happens in real life, how hackers can actually, through a wireless connection, attack people and extract sensitive information from them. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to open my demo computer, and in this computer, I will be basically controlling two computers. So I have here this Windows 7 computer. This is going to be the computer for the victim, the person who's going to be attacked very shortly. The scenario here is that the guy who is sitting on this computer has a very clean operating system that is not under any kind of attack right now. So this computer is running, and it's updated, and it has antivirus running, and there's no attack whatsoever happening on this computer right now. So this guy, let's say for example, is sitting in a cafe, and if he goes here to Facebook, Facebook opens, no problem. It's showing the Arabic version because it detects we're in the UAE. But as you can see here, the Facebook opens, the login page opens here, and we can see here that this connection is indeed a secure connection. HTTPS means it's a secure connection, the S means secure, and there is a lock here, and if you click on the lock, it will say that DigiCert has identified this website as m.facebook.com, and the connection to the server is encrypted. So this is a secure connection. Secure connection means that if this guy now starts entering his username and password, everything will be encrypted, and hackers will not be able to do anything about it. However, this is not the full story. We have the hacker who is sitting on the other side using this computer. It may seem a little bit odd to you because this is a special operating system that's used by hackers and ethical hackers as well. It's called Kali. And Kali is used to initiate attacks and do penetration testing stuff. So the hacker is connected to the same network as the victim. So both of them are on the same network, and this is most probably happening at a public Wi-Fi, right? So maybe both of them are sitting in a cafe, or both of them are in the same mall or in the airport or something of that sort. And now the hacker is going to initiate an attack to extract the username and password of the victim, okay? So what the hacker is going to do is that at the very beginning, I don't want you to focus too much into the technical details. This is just a demo. So I will give you an overview about what's happening. So now the hacker is trying to find out the IP address of the victim. You know, each computer has an IP address on the network, and in order for the hacker to be able to attack successfully, he will need to find that IP address. So he's going to scan the whole network for whoever is sitting or for whoever is connected. And this tool, Nmap, is going to give a full report on who is on this particular network. So here we have, for example, AE computer, Ahmad Essayed computer. We have Yumna's iPhone, that's my wife too. So I can know now her IP address 192.168.0.151 if I want to attack her, but I cannot do that for obvious reasons. Yeah. And we have, for example, here an HP printer on the network. And we have this computer, as you can see here, Windows 7A-PC. This is the Windows 7 computer that we would like to attack. So now I know the IP address of this computer. It's 192.168.0.179. So the next step would be initiating an attack that's called an ARP spoof attack. Through this ARP spoof attack, I'm basically putting myself in the middle between the victim and the router. It's actually called a man-in-the-middle attack. In this attack, I am rerouting all the traffic between the router and the victim to go through me. So I can see everything that this guy is doing on the network. So I will initiate the ARP spoof. dash T means I'm targeting someone in particular, which is 192.168.0.179, which is the victim IP address. And I will also add the IP address for the router. So I need to tell the command here that I want to be in the middle between these two through ARP spoofing. So 192.168.0.179, 192.168.0.1, which is the IP address of the router. If you don't know how did I get that, here's this as well. So the report shows me the D-Link router 192.168.0.1, and it shows me also the IP address of the victim, which is the Windows 7 192.168.0.179. So I will hit enter, and then I will leave this ARP spoof command doing its magic, putting me basically in the middle in terms of traffic between the victim and the router. And I'm going to open another terminal here, and I will do another dangerous attack on the victim, which is called the SSL strip attack. And in this SSL strip attack, I am preventing the victim from initiating or communicating securely. You remember when we opened the computer for the victim, he was able to communicate with Facebook through an HTTPS connection, which is secure. Now we're preventing the victim from doing this, because if he can communicate securely, we will not be able to see anything that he's doing because everything is encrypted. Even if we're able to intercept the messages, we will not be able to read them. So now we can intercept the messages, and through the SSL strip, we will strip, as the name suggests, we are stripping the victim from this secure connection, converting or changing the way he communicates from HTTPS to HTTP, which is not secure. If it's not secure, means it's not encrypted. If it's not encrypted, means we can see everything that he's doing. So now I will start this command as well, and I will leave it running, doing its magic. And then I'm going to do the final step in my attack here, which is basically going through opening a tool that's called Wireshark. And in this Wireshark, we can actually record everything that he's doing. So as soon as I start Wireshark here, okay, all the packets or all the messages or all the activities that this victim is performing on the internet is recorded on my computer. I'm intercepting it, stripping it from the security, and recording it in Wireshark. So now the only thing that I have to do as a hacker is to just wait. Okay, so I'm going to wait for the victim, for this guy to open his computer, open his browser, and then goes to any website that may be Facebook, Gmail, something, and provides his username and password. So the victim is going to go to facebook.com, and as you can see, there is a difference. The website looks exactly the same because it is the real Facebook website, but we don't have the S anymore. So now this connection is HTTP only, and we don't have the lock, means that this connection is not secure, okay? So I'm not sure if you can do, okay, so in the chat box, can you suggest any fake username and password? Anything, just let's have this webinar a little bit interactive. Suggest anything. Tell me any name. Okay, Mike. So Dawood is saying Mike. So I'm going to put Mike at what? Somebody else? Okay, so Hadia, is this Mike at, let's make it Mike at Pennywise, okay, .org, whatever, or .com, anything. Okay, what about the password? Anyone who would like to suggest a password? Any password, make it as hard as you can. It's fake, we're not doing anything real. You're not hacking real people. Just suggest any password. Oh, Hadia, come on, this is, okay, I need to copy that actually and paste it. I cannot copy. Make it something like that I can type. Okay, so I will try to do this $MHDSJ. Okay, so exclamation mark at. Okay, PLK123. Something, yeah. Okay, something I can afford. Okay, that's it. So this guy, whatever, Mike@pennywise.com, he entered his password and he clicked sign in. Of course, this is not going to sign in because this is not a real username and password, but doesn't matter. As soon as he clicks sign in, okay, the hacker on the other side, he got the username and password. That's it. So if this was a real username and password, Facebook would have let you access your account, and the hacker would have received a copy of your username and password. In this particular case, also the same thing. We received a copy of the username and password of this guy. So let's go ahead to Kali, and let's stop the recording that we're doing. And now let's look for the username and password that we have entered. So I'm going to go to edit, find a packet. So we have lots of packets here. Of course, we have lots of traffic, and I cannot manually go through all of them. So I will just search for a packet that has the word post in it. And the reason that I'm looking for the word post, because packets that include any like form submission, you know, when you are online and you have this form and then you click submit, whether that be username and password or you're registering for something, this is called a post packet. So it will have the word post in it. So I am looking for any packet that has the word post in it, and indeed we found already one here. Okay, and let's take a look at, let's open this one, the HTML form URL, and let's see what we have here. And as you can see here, there is the email, which is mike@pennywise.com, and a very complicated password that was provided to us by Hadia. That's it, done. So you have the username and password of this victim who is sitting connected with you on the same network. So this was a complete attack, as you can see, and it just took us what, like 5 minutes or so. I'm taking a look at my clock. Yeah, it's about like 3 minutes or so to perform the attack. And this attack is, although it is a very simple, I would say, attack, and like we're talking hacker language, this is simple, this is common, and it can be done by, I would say, like beginner to intermediate hackers. Yet it is very dangerous, and hackers can steal lots of sensitive information through this kind of attacks. Okay, so now it's time for us to take a look at how to protect yourself if you are connected to a wireless network. Okay, advice number one that I already talked to you: do not use public Wi-Fi. Okay, so other people say maybe be careful. You can't be careful enough. It's just you have to avoid public Wi-Fi. Other consultants, they suggest that you connect through VPN. I do not recommend using a VPN unless you have a VPN that is company provided VPN. These VPNs are available online for free. They can do more harm than good. Okay, even the ones that are paid. Okay, so your data passes through these VPN providers, and again, you are not providing it to the hacker, but you're providing it to somebody else. So unless the VPN is provided through a very secure source that you trust 100%, don't use a VPN. And again, even if you have VPN, still try to avoid public Wi-Fi as much as you can. This is the rule of thumb. If you can use, or if you have to connect to the internet, use your data connection. That's way better and much more. It's more secure than the public Wi-Fi. The other thing here is that make sure that your connection is secure, which is if you take a look at the victim computer here. So I mistakenly, actually, yes, no. So here, as you can see, the victim did some mistakes. Mistake number one is that he connected to this untrusted network and he put himself in the same cage as the hacker. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, he did not take a look at the URL here when he was connected to Facebook. So he didn't notice that this is an HTTP connection, not an HTTPS connection. And in browsers, most of the browsers, you're going to see next to the HTTPS, as we saw here, either a lock or a green sign or a green shield, something that basically tells you that this connection is secure. But in this particular case, the victim, he did enter the URL, he went straight into Facebook, and he provided the username and password, but he did not notice that this was not a secure connection. So this is another mistake. So when you are doing something sensitive, like you're opening your online banking portal, you're going into your Facebook account, going into Gmail, anywhere where you need to put a username and password or provide sensitive information, please make sure that you are in a secure connection. Make sure that you can see the HTTPS or the green sign or the lock, or it depends what kind of browser do you have. So this is another another advice. The third one is make sure that your software is updated. Again, if we go back here, we will take a look at this person, and this person, he's still using Windows 7, although that's not an issue generally. Windows 7 is out of support, yes, but it's still, it's secure if you update the operating system until the latest patch. However, this victim here is using a little bit of an outdated browser, which is the old Internet Explorer, which is another problem. Modern browsers, they can, not all the time, but they can detect these kind of attacks. Okay, so sometimes, I'm sure that you've seen that before, sometimes you open a website and then Google Chrome or Firefox is telling you, you know what, this connection is not secure. And if you proceed, you proceed at your own risk. This is happening because the browser detected that this website is asking for a username and password without the encryption, the necessary encryption, the HTTPS connection. So modern browsers are going to help you avoid these kind of attacks by giving you a warning. However, this is not guaranteed. And hackers, they do have other methods that they can use to deceive the browser. And even if the connection is not secure, the browser is not going to display the warning. So I don't want you to put all your money on the browsers. Don't go all in on the software. You need to be aware of what's happening if the software fails, or if hackers can find a way to deceive softwares, and there are lots of ways to do so. At least you are alert and you know what you're doing. Another thing that is very important nowadays, I cannot stress enough on this one, is using multi-factor authentication. Passwords are not enough anymore. Passwords can be cracked, they can be hacked, they can be sniffed, they can be, lots of stuff can happen to passwords, to crack them or to steal them. So if your account, whether that be Facebook account or something similar, it hinges only on a password, that's not the right thing to do. So I suggest, I recommend, I urge that you use multi-factor authentication to add another layer of protection to your account. So use multi-factor authentication and put your phone number, for example. So whenever you enter the password correctly, the Facebook or whatever the service that you're using is going to send you an OTP or a one-time password to your phone to prove that you are indeed the person who is accessing the account. So even if you enter the password correctly, there is still going to be another password or one-time password that you will receive on your phone to make sure to double check that you are the correct person. If you use multi-factor authentication, this attack that we just went through is basically useless, almost. because even if I got the username and password, your username and password, I will not be able to use them if you have multi-factor authentication. Because as soon as I enter the username and password, you as a victim are going to receive an OTP saying, you know what, there is an attempt to access your account, and if you are indeed trying to, put the OTP. So if that was not you, you will go ahead and maybe change the password or do take some measures to protect yourself against this potential attack, and then the hacker will not be able to get access to your account unless he hacks your phone as well, which is very unlikely in this particular case. Okay, now we talk about the private Wi-Fi. Now we're done talking about the public Wi-Fi. Everything here applies, starting from making sure your connection is secure and your browser is updated and using multi-factor authentication. These also apply to private Wi-Fi, but in addition to that, you are requested, please, to create a password if you don't have password on your private Wi-Fi at home, and make it a strong WPA2. So strong, you already know what strong is. So make it long and complicated, and put lots of letters and symbols and these kind of stuff, and make it long. It has to be long. It's more important to be long than to be complicated. And when you choose the encryption type on your Wi-Fi settings, make sure it says WPA2. Currently, this is the strongest form of encryption for Wi-Fi, and it is the hardest to crack. Okay, if you are at home and you have a naughty neighbor or someone who is in the same building, or he lives near you and he can grab your signal, because the signal is not limited to your walls, it can leak outside the apartment or outside the house. They can go ahead and try and crack the password of your Wi-Fi, and if they do, they basically turned it into a public Wi-Fi. So if they are able to crack the password and they get into the network with you, it's the same as a public Wi-Fi, and they can initiate all sorts of attacks on you because they are on the same network now. So to prevent them from doing something like this, make sure that your password is secure, not your phone number, please. Okay. So your password, your Wi-Fi password is secure, and the security of the network is following the WPA2 authentication, not WPA, WPA2 method of authentication and encryption. One final advice regarding the other types of wireless attacks like Bluetooth and NFC: do not use them unless you really need to. So if you get out of your car, okay, disable Bluetooth immediately. Okay, if you get into the mall with Bluetooth turned on, hackers may initiate attacks on you using Bluetooth. Same goes with NFC as well. If you're not using NFC, okay, disable it. At least you are going to save yourself some good battery. And do not broadcast your device information in both modes. So if you are using Bluetooth and NFC, broadcast the device information only when pairing, then disable the broadcasts. So hackers, you make it harder for hackers to detect your device, or to detect that there is a device that has Bluetooth or NFC activated. Okay, so we are okay. Very good. We are on time. Okay, I'm sorry, I was talking a little bit fast to make it through the 1 hour, but now it's time for us to go through the Q&As. This is a screenshot of what it may. Actually, I was thinking to hide this slide because it may be a little bit different at home, but in case you're wondering how you can actually create a strong password at home, this is a screenshot from my own router at home. And as you can see here, I have the Wi-Fi name that's called Yoyes, and there is a password. You see how long the password is? Okay, it should be as long, as long as possible. And here in the security mode, there is it says WPA2 personal. This is the mode that you should be using, the one that says WPA2. Anything else? WAP or WEP, WPA, don't. Okay, just stick to this one. It's the hardest to crack. Okay, now it's time for us to go through some questions. I can see that we have some questions already in the chat box. So Hadia, she's saying, does this method of hacking work with all types of computers? For instance, Apple devices? Yes. I know that there is uh, uh, a belief that Apple devices are more secure than other devices, than PCs and Android devices, and they are. Uh, in some aspects, they are more secure, but in this attack, no. This attack is not actually where I'm not I don't want to get a little bit, and I don't want to get too much into technical details, but this attack is a network attack. I'm attacking the network. I'm not attacking your device. I'm not attacking your computer at all. Okay, I'm not injecting any viruses. I'm not doing anything that touches. I'm not touching your computer. I am attacking the network itself, and this is why this particular attack is dangerous. Because I don't care. You're using Apple. You're using Android. You're using a PC. I don't really care. Even if your computer itself is 100% secure with a firewall and antivirus, and it doesn't matter. This attack will still work. Okay, so if that answers your question. Another question is, how do you secure it if you find out it's not HTTPS? You can't. You simply move away. So if you open Facebook and then it says HTTP, something is wrong. Disconnect yourself immediately from this network and use another network. If it changes back to HTTPS, then you're okay. If it doesn't, then I suggest that you give your computer to someone who's an expert to take a look at it. But generally, if you change from, for example, if you are in a cafe and you disable this Wi-Fi and then connect through you open hotspot from your phone, for example, most probably it will turn back to HTTPS. But if it doesn't, there's no way for you to force HTTPS if the computer doesn't want to do it. Okay, so Yumna, she's asking, is there a way to activate the mobile Bluetooth needed for smartwatch, for example, and still be protected? No. Okay, so as long as your Bluetooth is running, it's not secure. As I said, you may as an additional step stop broadcasting. There is an option in Bluetooth to stop broadcasting device information. You may try that. So at least when hackers, they're searching for a victim, at the first try, they will not see you as a candidate. But still, this does not guarantee anything, because hackers, if they want to know your device information over Wi-Fi, over a Bluetooth network, they will still be able to do so. Even if you don't broadcast, if they try hard enough. That's number one. Number two, many devices, many Bluetooth devices like smartwatches and this kind of stuff, they require the phone to broadcast the device information even after pairing. So if your smartwatch or your whatever device, Bluetooth device, like a car, for example, if this device requires the phone to continue broadcasting Bluetooth device information, you have to do it, otherwise it's not going to work. So I hate to say that there's no way to keep yourself protected if you have your phone continuously paired to another device like a smartwatch. But again, don't stress yourself too much regarding Bluetooth connections. As I said, because they have a very, very short range. So hackers, they need to be in very close proximity to you. I'm saying here very few meters. So we're talking about 3 or 4 meters in order for them to initiate an attack. Dawood says, if I am in my private Wi-Fi connected at home and get hacked, is there a way I can force the hacker out? There is, if you know how to work with the router, or okay, so maybe you can reset the router itself, so, and immediately create a new password. So this is the first thing that would come to my mind if I were in your shoes. But force the hacker out, like technically, without resetting the router information or without going into the router settings and forcing the guy, no. Okay, any other questions? Hold on, I see here. Okay, in questions and answers, we have other questions and answers. So Abdul Rahman, he says, how do you rate the security of public Wi-Fi's in the UAE? I don't have enough information to answer this question because I haven't tested all the public Wi-Fi's in the UAE. And I believe they vary dramatically. So I've seen here some examples of secure public Wi-Fi's in some of the malls. I'm not going to mention any names. And I have seen public Wi-Fi's that are really bad in terms of security, especially in hotels. And this does not apply only to the UAE, it applies everywhere. So if you go anywhere, as I said, I have already given an example of airports. This is one of the most dangerous places to connect on a public Wi-Fi. And maybe the second most dangerous is an hotel. So hotels are also really bad when it comes to the security of public Wi-Fi. But this cannot be generalized. As I said, you go to one hotel and they have very good security standards. They have a very good governance policies in place. Some other hotels are not going to have the same standards. Is it possible to create an attack link with HTTPS? I'm not sure if I understand this question, Ajay. What do you mean by an attack link? If you mean that like a phishing website, yes, you can. I can create an attack link and then secure it as a phishing website. I can create a link, an HTTPS link that takes you to a fake Facebook website that looks exactly the same as the real Facebook, and then you put your username and password, and I will get it anywhere in the world. In this particular attack, I don't have to be on the same network as you. And maybe we will discuss something like this in one of the upcoming webinars when we talk about phishing attacks and the social engineering, where actually hackers, they can do exactly the same. They can get exactly the same result, which is steal username and password for Facebook without being in the same network as you. They may be in a completely different country, and they can send you a phishing link, and it's an HTTPS link, and it will redirect you to a website that looks exactly the same as Facebook or whatever. And as soon as you put the username and password, they will get a copy of it, and then they will take you to the real website. So if that's what you meant, yes, it's possible. Arif, my friend and my beloved student, which wireless adapter is better for Wi-Fi pen testing? It depends on what kind of software are you using. Okay, so for example, if you're using Aircrack NG, that's built in Cali, there is you go to the Aircrack NG website, and then you will see the list of the recommended wireless adapters. If you're using something external, if you're, for example, using the Pineapple device, you don't need a wireless adapter at all, because you have that dedicated adapter for the wireless Wi-Fi pen testing, and you don't need, and this is the recommended approach, by the way, and then you don't need to use your own adapter for that. So you check the documentation of your preferred software, and they will tell you which adapter is best to use with this particular software. Okay, so we have another question from Hadia. There is a website where you type in your email and tells you if the account was hacked or not. What do you think about these websites? If the website that you're talking about is called haveibeenpawned.com, this website is safe. And actually, the only thing that you do is that you put your email, and that's it. No more information is needed. So they cannot do anything wrong, even if they're bad, and they are not bad. This website, I know. If this is what you meant by what do you think about these websites? Are the websites safe or not? So this particular website is safe. And it tells you if your account has been hacked. And this is, again, this is discussion for a different time, where we discuss that hacking can happen to you, or it can happen to the service that you're using. Yani, for example, you use Gmail, you use LinkedIn, you use Yahoo, you use Hotmail, you use all these services. Sometimes people, hackers, they get your username and password not by attacking you, but through attacking the attack that they initiate on the service itself. So they initiate the attack on LinkedIn, for example, and this happened before. I'm not just giving an example like out of nowhere. LinkedIn has been attacked before, and in this particular attack, millions of usernames and passwords have been leaked. And the attack didn't touch the victims at all. The attack was initiated on the service itself. So this website, like haveibeenpawned.com, will tell you if you give the username or the email, and it will tell you with great accuracy, nice acceptable accuracy, if your information has been leaked before or not through the service. And how do they know this? They have access to these databases that are published by the hackers. So, for example, hackers, they published hacked accounts on LinkedIn. So, so all these people who have been hacked, not directly, but through LinkedIn, they have their information published by hackers, most probably on the dark web. And these websites, like Have I Been Pawned, they have access to these databases, and they can check, they can query, they can check if your name or your email or username is one of the victims. Wayne, any tips on how to protect kids from these attacks? Actually, that's a very good question. It depends on how old are they. If they are old enough to understand what I'm saying, simply teach them. Tell them, okay, do not connect to public Wi-Fi at all. And if they have accounts like with usernames and passwords, one of the things that you can do is that you can, okay, so what I'm going to say protects them against this particular attack, but maybe not other attacks, is by saving the username and password, so they don't have to enter it every time they log into their accounts. So if they have this, if they have their usernames and passwords saved, saved means not saved in the browser. Saved means, like in Facebook, you say remember me, and then you don't have to enter the username and password again. This method eliminates the possibility of an attack like the one that I just did, because the one that I just did requires that the victim enters the username and password. If I open Facebook and it just takes me into Facebook, then there's nothing. I'm not going to be able to get your username and password this way. I will have to initiate other types of attacks. And most probably, I'm not going to get to your username and password. So, for example, I can do a session hijacking attack and then get access to your account, but I'm not going to get access to your username and password. So, if the kids are old enough to understand these measures, give them an awareness session. If they're younger, or they cannot understand, I believe there are softwares. Unfortunately, my daughter is too young for me to do some research about this, but I'm sure that there are some softwares who can provide an extra protection for kids. Okay, so that's pretty much it, I believe. Do we have any other questions that I missed? No? Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for attending. I'm sorry that I took 11 minutes more of your time. I appreciate that you are sticking around. Thank you. It has been a pleasure having you today during this webinar from Mondays at Murdoch. Thank you to Sam and Mega, the hosts, and thanks everyone. And I hope to see you again in another webinar soon. See you.